These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Tuesday, January 17th, the day after the Celtics back-to-back games against the Charlotte Hornets. Not back-to-back days, back-to-back games. We played them twice in a row in Charlotte. You get the picture. Before that, though, I had a story. I went into Target today. As I say, if you're watching on YouTube, I kind of look like a Target employee. I'm wearing the red.
You look like a Target employee. I don't know about that. They wear like a vest. You're not wearing a vest.
No, it's just red. I don't know about your Target. At my Target, you just have to wear red top.
Is that Walmart that they wear the vest?
Yeah, Walmart is the best. Target is just you have to wear red. I know because I had multiple friends working.
It's like a gang. Oof.
I was working in I was walking into Target today, and I passed this like group of college age girls, maybe high school, I'm not sure, but as they're getting in their car, they said, let's do a haul. And I've never felt more like old. I wanted to crawl into my own skin in that moment. Like I don't think I've ever felt older. Well, you know what I mean. I wanted to crawl up inside myself and just
felt your skin
not be there.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. But then they go, we didn't even get anything. We'll just show off our Starbucks. And I'm like, wow.
Well,
like I've never felt older than in that moment. And I was just like, it was like a blind side as I was walking into Target.
Now, I'm not typically one to watch hauls. But if I was to watch like somebody try on clothes,
yeah,
those clothes would not come from Target.
Yeah. Well, let's not bash Target.
Now, I like some of the stuff from Target, and as do you.
Well, have I told you all of my wardrobe is Target? I don't think I wear
the Goodfellow clothing.
Goodfellow. This is Goodfellow.
I have a long sleeve from them that I
it's
very
phenomenal.
much like.
Very comfy.
But like nobody's like gonna watch me try on the. I even you know what's funny, Jack? I even went on their site to see if it was just an exclusive Target company, which it is. It's like Target's own clothing. Mm-hmm. But I was gonna see if they would sponsor us because I know we both enjoy the clothing.
Yes, very comfy.
But nobody is searching Target clothing haul. They're like,
I'll check YouTube.
If you're like shopping for Gucci, maybe.
Yeah.
You just left the Gucci store. Maybe somebody would watch your haul.
There is Target Shop With Me, Target Home and Fashion Haul. You'd be surprised, I guess. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I will say, in that moment, I felt very, like I said, out of touch or old or whatever you want to say. I do love Target though. Target is one of my favorite places on the planet. I like full like mom on Facebook love Target. My girlfriend and I both love Target. Like my whole wardrobe is from Target. This sweatshirt's Target. At least half of the presents I got for Christmas in terms of clothing were Target as well. Like,
wow,
you're
an easy shop.
Oh yeah, no, it's phenomenal.
Your parents took care of you. It took you like $10.
Yeah, no, it is phenomenal. I do love me some Target. There's no complaints
if I have
in
like
that regard,
a store like that. I don't really like to. I mean, it's not that I don't like to shop, but I don't really shop. Or
every time I go into Target, I go to the Goodfellow section though. Like I will go there and I'll see if there's any new
clothes. They have
clothes.
a specific section.
There's a section with Goodfellow clothing. Yeah, it's I love it. It is great. I got, what did I get today? I got sweatpants a couple days ago. I don't think I got a couple t-shirts today. Nothing exciting. Actually, I got like a new sweater thing, like a long sleeve thing that I'm gonna wear.
Should Jack do a haul? Games. Jack, you gonna do a haul?
Should I do now what I made fun of at the start of the show? I mean, it's just two gray t-shirts and a sweater, so I don't think it's necessary. But
I wonder what they bought at Target that they thought was so great that people would want to see.
That's the thing. Like I said, when I was like, I guess eavesdropping, I overheard their conversation. They were like, "Oh, we didn't even get much. We'll just show off our Starbucks." And I was like, "Well, then what's the point of a haul? Like, what are we doing here?"
Like, this is why I don't use Instagram.
Yeah,
because you know that was going on Instagram.
Yeah,
that's not something you tweet. You don't tweet that. No,
it could be a Snapchat story.
Snapchat. I don't watch stories on Snapchat.
Yeah, I don't really use Instagram
either. Not a high volume of use on Snapchat for me.
The only use I have for Snapchat anymore is like we have a couple group chats of people who don't have iPhones. Yes. So like to avoid the green text and the text messages, chats or whatever, you throw it in Snapchat and it's a Snap group.
Big fan of the Facebook group chat, actually.
Yes, I remember.
That's where my ancient group chat is since 8th grade. Yeah, if you are going to a Celtics game or any other event and you're going to use SeatGeek, you should do it. and use promo code LaFrance to save $20 on your first purchase.
Wow, that's
It
impressive.
is about 10 years old, probably. My God.
That is wild.
Well,
See,
that's enough to
crazy.
make you go look in the mirror for a bit.
Right? It's
Oof.
upsetting. It's very upsetting.
Speaking of the group chat, though,
yeah.
I was not able to do pregame Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Secret Santa in January. Now, Secret Santa is my favorite of all the friend gatherings. I think it's the best thing we do. It's a lot of fun. Everybody gets a nice gift. Usually we all hit it on the head too because we know each other pretty well. It's not like you're opening stuff at home and you might have them miss the mark. No, that doesn't really happen.
Gotcha.
And it's pretty cool seeing the thought people put into it and everything like that. So always one of my favorite events. The problem this year is, one, it was impossible to get it planned, which I already have complained about.
Mm-hmm.
But we did get it planned, and then we had people not there. Now,
See,
the one guy,
brutal.
two people are excused.
Okay.
There was one guy that had an emergency. Fine, of course, fine. Two, the other guy is a cop, so he was ordered to cover the shift. What are you going to do?
Mhm.
There's really nothing he can do. Now, here's where we run into a problem.
Mhm.
We've got an individual that works at a restaurant and an individual that delivers packages.
Okay.
Neither one of these gentlemen had the day off. This has been something we knew about for at least a month, probably a month. It did take us a while to plan it, but not one of those jobs where you can't say I need the day off.
Yeah, so they just didn't request the time off.
Did not take the time off.
So
One
it
kid
was
didn't show up till 9 p.m. The delivery guy, he got out of work early enough in the day. I think he took the night off and he worked the day instead.
Smart. It's fair.
But the other kid was at the restaurant. I don't know what you're doing. Can't do
is
that.
The waiter, busboy?
I'm not sure.
Bartender?
The last I knew, he was a busboy, but he may have leveled up since then. That's usually how it goes. A little bit older now.
Yes.
Very good time. The problem also that there was football on the television instead of the Celtics.
Instead of the Celtics.
Yes, and mind
that's
you,
unacceptable.
Let's not pretend like
That's
the Patriots are playing, because they weren't.
Yeah, that's not okay.
I had the game on my iPad, and
those
able
friends
to
are not allowed.
Somewhat watch the game.
Which
but
friend is
overall, very good
Call
time.
them
a
out,
lot
please.
of unhealthy food.
We talked about this. Yes.
Yes. Oof.
Which friend decided to put football on instead of?
It was
Celtics?
A consensus, which is the bigger problem.
Who voted for?
There was no vote. That was just the understanding. That's landslide.
Wild.
The love of football in this group of friends, I truly want to understand. I get it when it's your team. When it's your team, I understand.
Sure.
I mean, I've thrown on like Celtics. I oftentimes don't miss things.
I mean, like on New Year's Eve, I threw on what was it? Who was playing the college football playoff game? Like it was like Michigan and Ohio State or something. Like that was a fine game. That was fun. But like, I guess I kind of understand because like my friend group doesn't watch the Celtics, but they wouldn't be the type to have like a sporting event on anyways. But with my friends who do like sports, if the Celtics are on and a random football game is on, it will be the Celtics. Like, so that doesn't sit right with me.
That's proper etiquette.
Like,
especially me missing pregame to be there when other people did not miss things.
Yeah, exactly. So I
should have showed up late.
Were there any friends that were voting for the Celtics or also upset with the decision?
No.
Wow.
Nobody cares like I do.
See, that's just not a good group of friends right there. That's not okay.
I'd say they're an okay group of friends. They're an okay group of friends.
Oh, from my perspective, that doesn't seem
rat behavior having football on the TV. Yeah, maybe.
What football game was it?
It was both of them. It was first. I don't even remember. The Chargers played the first one, I think.
Chargers, Jaguars,
or that Giants. Was the late one.
Was it
Giants?
The first
game? One.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Oh, Seahawks Niners. Was it that one?
Yeah, that one. That one pissed me off because that one wasn't even close.
No, the Niners blew them out. Anyways, going into the Celtics. Yeah. we rambled on about Target and football. We can get into the Celtics, which is what you're probably waiting for, and let's just not bury the lead. any more than we already have. Jayson Tatum, 51 points in the Celtics' second win against. What'd you say?
Team with us bearing the lead.
Yeah, right. Always bury the lead. Jayson Tatum, 51 points against the Hornets. First 50-point game of the season. He had a 49-point game earlier in the year against the Heat. Jamal Crawford said to him, if you have the chance to go for, apparently he texted Tatum after that 49-point game and said, if you have the chance for go for 50, go for 50. No one's going to remember how you got it. They're just going to remember that you got it. And so Jayson Tatum in the last couple minutes chucked up a couple threes, got to 51. Celtics won. It was a good game. Both the Hornets games were good ones. They almost kind of faltered in both of them, which we can talk about. But starting with Tatum, 51 points. I mean, he's just incredible. And Jamal Crawford was kind of right. Like, obviously the us's and the other, like, I know the other, like, people who followed the Celtics like very closely will remember he jacked up those 2 threes. But in the grand scheme of the media, all anyone was talking about is 51-point Tatum. So
it's true.
Crawford was
all
right.
over Twitter. Just a big fat picture of Tatum, and then he's the MVP again after scoring 51 on the Hornets.
Right.
I will say this: good on Tatum, because he has not lost a game yet without Jaylen Brown, which is a big feat. Important. Because we see it all over the league when players go out of the lineup, things don't necessarily go well. Just look at a team like Phoenix when Devin Booker doesn't play. Now he's their best player, but still, they are a disaster. The Celtics are built different, obviously, not saying that, as the mainstream built different thing, but they truly are. Like, they're constructed to be one of the deepest teams in the league, if not the deepest.
Yes.
So they are able to withstand an injury like this. And you saw it on Saturday when Brogdon had 30 after Derek White also went out, which it was remarkable how I did see the replay of what happened, and it was scary looking, and then he just played Monday.
It was bad. It was real bad. Shout out to him, though. I'm glad he got it.
No. I'm happy. Happy he played. Like, I'm happy he was okay. But it looked like it was going to be real bad. It reminded me of Kemba when he ran into Shemi Ojeleye.
Yeah, that was also bad.
That was a crazy event. But going back to the Celtics in Charlotte, what a performance in the first game. The massive comeback. After playing like me and the boys for, I don't know, let's say 18 minutes. Then they started trying. And then great overall performance on Monday, I guess. Was a little bit too close for my liking, but
sure.
What are you going to do? That's classic Celtics. They love a nice collapse as they're winning. Just enough to make you think they might lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic Celtics. They're gonna do it. I've come to accept that, even though it probably shouldn't be the standard. I come to accept, but it's the Celtics we're living with. So I'm not. There's gonna do me no good to keep complaining over the same thing. But I wanted to circle back to Tatum really quick. Do you think Jayson Tatum is still the MVP of the NBA right now? Because, like, obviously the 51-point game, that's what everyone's talking about. I know I gave my thoughts on a recent pregame show and people disagreed with it. I think Luka is the MVP right now. Now, I'm not sure if the Mavs have fallen off, because I did give the stipulation of, if the Mavs fall down the standings too much. They're 24-21 right now, so they're in 5th place in the West. Significant difference between them and the Celtics.
To put that in perspective, that is the Miami Heat.
Yes. Yeah. At the same time, however, you got to take into account the idea of most valuable player to their team, right? You take Jayson Tatum off the Celtics, they're still a top 6 seed in the East, in my opinion. And if you take Luke off the Mavericks, they're fighting for Victor Wembanyama in the lottery. Now, I'm not trying to discredit Tatum, because what he's doing is incredible, and the Celtics are not a championship contender without him. So he's obviously, like, no crap, he's valuable to the team. But if you're talking about most valuable, what Luka is doing on the Mavericks is ridiculously impressive. And even past that, I don't even think Tatum's second. I think he's third. I think I would put Jokic above him, because Jokic, the 30-13 Nuggets, who are, on par with the Celtics now, he is far and away their best player. Jamal Murray has struggled a little since coming back. Aaron Gordon's been playing like an all-star this year, I think, but Nikola Jokic is just, like, so clearly the best guy on that team. So I'd probably go Luka, Jokic, Tatum, with the condition that if Luka falls any further, like, he probably dips. But Tatum's MVP case is not as, clear cut as it was early in the season.
Well, he's not lighting the world on fire anymore, in fairness to you.
Well, we say after the 51-point game.
No, but he hasn't really been.
I know what you're saying, though. Yeah.
I would say he's still first to me.
Okay.
And this is why. Now, Jokic is a very compelling argument because
Mhm.
big believer in winning first for MVP.
I know.
Now the Luka point is fair because that
Mhm.
team is me and the boys, but not really serious point. But they would actually kind of be better off if he wasn't playing for him because then they would get Wembanyama and then they really have a team. But the Celtics
Okay.
have the best record in the NBA. They have it by 2 games over Denver right now.
Mhm.
Tatum has had to step up with Brown
Mhm.
out over the last week, right? Week.
Roughly a week, yeah.
Streets are saying he'll be back Thursday. I don't know if you saw
Interesting.
that.
I
but
did not see that, but it makes
Don't know
sense.
how reputable it was, but I did see it.
Mhm.
But they still have the best record in the league. They have a chokehold on the Eastern Conference right now. They are 4.5 games up on the
4.5
next best
games up.
team.
Yep, on the Nets
Oof, what a
and
lead. 2 games up
the
on Denver. Not that it matters, but they
Mhm.
are.
Yeah.
They are a powerhouse, and he is the head of the snake. If you take Tatum off the team, they are going to be much worse. If you take Jokic off the team,
Yeah.
they're going to be much worse. And if you take Luka off the team, it's not going to be very good. All of those things are true.
Mhm.
But I think with all things considered, Tatum is my guy just because that's the best team.
Mhm.
And he's definitely putting up comparable type performances to these other guys. He's not having to
Yeah.
do everything by himself like Luka, who remarkably is still very efficient, especially from the field.
Mhm.
So good for
Yeah.
him. That's impressive to me. Jokic, all over the place with his stats. He hits everywhere, hits all the
Luka
stat
is
categories.
sorry, it didn't clock for me. I was looking at odds. Luka's ridiculously efficient though for
I
the
know.
the
I
the
had to write
volume he's
about him.
on, right? Almost 50% from the field, 35% from 3, which 35 isn't crazy, but he's taken 8 a game and not like the defense has many other players to focus on, right?
Yeah.
In Dallas, so crazy and by far his most efficient season from the field in total. He shot 47.9% in 2020, 2021. This year he's shooting 49.8. So just almost 2 percentage points better than his best season. And he's only 0.02. He's effectively shooting the best he has ever from 3-point range too. Just 0.02 behind. But as
I
far as
don't want to get here's the thing with me, and this
okay.
applies to all 3 of these guys. Yeah, I don't want to act like these guys, the numbers they're putting up are the greatest thing ever. Because the NBA
Why?
now, in terms of scoring, the NBA now
Okay.
is so much more offensively focused in terms of the pace, in terms of the shot selection, in terms of the foul calls that these guys get. And this is all of them, not including Tatum. Some of
Yeah.
the shots he gets on threes that are fouls are not fouls. You can't act like it's worlds better than what players in the past that are considered greats have done.
I have a counterpoint, excuse me, and I'm trying to find what it is. I don't know if it was a TikTok or a video or an article or some form of content, basically saying that yes, offense is at an all-time high right now and it is all high, but let's not act like this is the highest by far scoring has ever been. They were scoring 118 points per game in the 80s, right? They were scoring around these numbers in the 80s too.
I don't know if that's true. I know in the 60s they were.
The reason why I'm trying to find it on Basketball Reference, but the reason why is right in the 80s when they were scoring these ridiculously high points, it was right before expansion, right? The ABA and the NBA just merged, and so there was this influx of tons and tons of talent in the NBA, and you didn't see it happen the same way right now, right? There was no okay, we're gonna add a second league of talented players, but so many players have trained their whole lives for this moment that there's just more talent than ever. And on top of that, you're kind of also seeing what I just said you're not seeing in terms of a second league coming over because of how many international players there are, right? Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Embiid. You have an entire new crop of international players. Embiid, I guess, is borderline, but he's from, anyways. My point is, the NBA needs to expand in order for these scoring numbers to go down because you're seeing such talented teams, right? Even we've talked about it before. There's 10 teams in each or 12
It's
teams in
true.
each conference
Look
looking
at the
to make the
West.
playoffs this year. The West is crazy.
They
right?
need to
There's
get
so
rid of
much
the
talent.
play-in. I'm sorry. You got to get rid of it.
I disagree.
At least,
I don't
at
think
least
the
until
play-in.
you expand. If you expand, it's a little different. But right now, like look at the West. Pull up the West. I can do it if you can't.
Yeah, I have the West. I've got it.
Okay. What
So right
what
now,
separates 13th place from 6th?
13th place is the Lakers, 10.5 games back. 6 games is the Clippers, 8 games back. So 2.5
2.5
between
games
13
separate
and
those
6.
two teams.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy.
That means between 13 and 10th can't be more than a game and a half.
Mm-hmm. 13 and 10th. 13th is 10.5. 10th is 9. Game and a half. Yep.
Yeah.
Nail on the head.
The 13th place Lakers right now should not have a prayer to make the playoffs.
That's not even true. You're wrong. You're objectively wrong though. Yes, you are, because
the
make
separation
the
between them and 6 is not that much, which is still true. But they have such a greater chance in making the playoffs just because there's more spots.
Not right now. They don't.
What do you mean they don't?
The gap between them and 10 is the same between the gap of them and 8 right now. So even if they abolish the playoffs, like the play-in, it doesn't matter. There's still the same games out of your playoffs versus the play-in.
Okay, well, that's fair. But still, it shouldn't be a thing. Because in the past, there are teams that get in that, and it's just like, why are we even playing these games? Like the Spurs got in a couple years ago. It might have been the first one. And it was like, why are they even in this?
They got in the play-in. They didn't get in the playoffs.
I know.
But yeah, I don't hate the play-in, because it eliminates tanking a little bit. Like like teams aren't going to tank as much anymore, because they think they have a chance. Like
the only benefit to the play-in to me is if somebody gets hurt, like say Luka got hurt, and they decide they really want to go for it this year. Like they say they had a bunch of money tied up in guys on their team, like the fellas aside from Luka are making money,
sure,
and like their window is real small. Say Luka like hurts himself and he misses a good amount of the season. It could allow them to sneak in and still like make a playoff run. Besides that, it's not adding anything. Does it deter teams from tanking? I'm not really sure. Because what team down there has any thought that they're going to compete? If from the front office standpoint, not like all the players think they can compete every game.
I say this all the time. You always think of things from Celtics, which is fair. It's a Celtics podcast. That's fine. And that's because the Celtics have the standard of championship or bust. That's not like as messed up as it is. And I agree with you that should be the standard. That's not how teams around the league think. That's just not like some ownership groups.
The Timberwolves.
Some GM
Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves. Sure.
That was last year.
Their goal is to make the playoffs. They just want to make the playoffs right now. They've been in a drought for so long outside of that one Jimmy Butler year that they just want to make the playoffs. You can say the same thing about the Kings. You can say the same thing about the Wizards who want to keep Bradley Beal happy. You can say the same thing about so many teams around the league. All they want to do is make the playoffs, right? And the alternative to that is tanking, right? And that's fine. The Spurs are tanking this year. That's fine. Like some teams are tanking, but you're seeing so many fewer teams tanking. The West is the perfect example because as much as you say, okay, the play-in is not a good thing, I think this is the perfect year for the play-in to be a thing because you have that many playoff quality teams in the West, right? Like, let's not act like, the Trailblazers are a bad team. They're 21-22, right? So they're completely mediocre. Any other year, they're a talented team, right? I'm just going to go through the West 1 through 10, right? Or 1 through 13 with the Lakers down there at the bottom of the play-in race. The Nuggets, quality team. Grizzlies, good team. Pelicans, good team. Kings, good team. Mavericks, Luka and company. Clippers, Kawhi, Paul George. Warriors, Steph Curry. The Jazz have come out of nowhere with a good coach and like a decent basketball roster, correct? Like you can't shit on the Jazz. They're good this year. The Timberwolves, as much as you want to crap on them for the Gobert trade, they have talent on the roster. They made the playoffs last year.
Injuries and stuff this year. They haven't had the best luck.
And you have Edwards, you have Towns and Gobert at the core. You have the Trailblazers with Dame. The Thunder have magically appeared in the play-in race with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing like an MVP. The Suns are there.
The play-in is built for a team like the Thunder.
Yes, exactly. But since there are so many talented teams in the West, it's also going to include some other teams that, are good enough to be in the playoffs. So I think this is the perfect example of a year when the play-in should be implemented because there's so much talent. Now, a time like last year, like the Spurs used in his example, that's a year where it's not necessary. I think there should be a threshold.
I think what you're trying to say is it should be like it was for the bubble, where it was if they were separated by like one game, then there's some kind of play in.
I think it's like I think they used like 4.5 games. I think they used a big window maybe, or maybe not. But I think it should be like
just because like the amount of games that would have been left had they not had COVID.
Yes, I think 3 games is a fine standard, or maybe even that's too much.
I don't think so. I think it's one or 2. No more than 2.
I think 3 is fine.
You got 82 games. 2's a lot.
I know, sure. 2's 82.
2's a lot at the end of the season to separate.
I disagree. 2 is a lot of games, and I think 3, and we can disagree. This is a minute detail. My point is
3 separates. 3 separates 13 from 6.
We're also halfway through the season. This is not like we're a full season, right? Like, so if you really want to do that, you can double it and say, so this will. Regardless, we could quibble on the logistics of it. The point is there should be some sort of threshold that a team has to meet to qualify for the play-in, right? Like maybe
it should be a win total.
Maybe. Well, no, I think
it should be a win total. Like a bowl game in college football, where if you win, like in college football, it's different. 5 games, you get a bowl game. Say you win 41 games in the NBA, you get a shot to be in the playoffs.
I understand. I think though, like, say the 10 seed is only, I don't know, like let's say the 8 seed and the 9 seed are half a game apart, but the 10 seed is like 4 games back of that 9 seed. I don't think the 10 seed should get a game. I think the 7 seed should automatically make it, and the 8 and 9 should fight for the 8 seed, right? Because the issue with the win total is like, I don't know. Let's say you make the win total 40 games, right? Or how many games would you want to make the win total to qualify? 41. Say you win 41 games. What happens if the 8 seed doesn't win 41 games? Is it a 17 playoff?
It's right? Top 8 or 41 games.
Okay, top 8 or 41 games. So what if there's some crazy year where the top 11 teams win 41 games? Like you could potentially see this year.
What happens by your standard, the closeness in the standings would call for it.
Yeah, but the 11 seed doesn't get it regardless.
No, they don't in yours.
Well, should they? Are you just going to expand by that many? See, there's too many issues with stuff like that, right? Because you can't have an 11-team playoff at that point. Because then how the hell does that work, right? Like just the one.
They would love it. It would make them a ton of money. Sure. I wouldn't love it. I think it's stupid. I would say win more games.
Yeah. Well, you just set your win total, and I gave you an option, and then your response to that is.
I still think if you're going to set it, it should be 41, because I don't think. Let's see. Let's look in the West.
I don't even remember where our conversation.
I'm not convinced the Lakers are winning 41 games.
How did we get here? Phoenix will win 41 games. I think so. I think Phoenix will win 41 games. How did we get here? What were we talking about before this? I'm lost.
I have no idea.
What were we? We started with Tatum MVP, and then we just rambled on to here somehow. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I said Miami's 7th in the East because we were talking about the record of Dallas.
We were talking about offense and defense in the NBA right now, and I was going to bring up the stats from the 80s and 70s. Excuse me. Then we got sidetracked. Circling all the way back for the loyal listeners who are going to follow us. In the late 60s, early 70s, they were averaging 117, 116, 112, 116, 112, 110. Right, and then it dipped off, right? Dipped off around 110, and then again in the 80s you get 108, 110, 110, 110, 109, 108, and then the basketball that everyone it pisses me off. All the old heads and everyone complaining about offense compares this version of basketball just to the 90s and early 2000s, right? That is the only recollection because that is what they grew up with. So that is the only era of basketball that ever existed outside of the current one we're in, right? In the 90s and in early 2000s, you had 99 points per game, 91 points per game, 93, 97, 98, and then just
That
in
stuff's crazy. You
2007,
see like playoff games that are like
right?
60 to 60 in the fourth
Right.
quarter.
And then you get to 2007, 2008, you get 99.9. And not until 2016-17 do you even crack 105.6. Like, this is the first time you cracked 105. And now they're at 114 this season, right? And you hear all these complaining. Like, this isn't the first time point averages were up over 110, right? It was over 110 for 3 times in the mid 80s. It was up in the 116, 116.7 is the highest, and that was in 69-70, right? It is because there is so much talent in the league needs to expand. Once once we add, or the NBA adds 2 expansion teams, 3 expansion teams, 4 expansion teams over the next 10 or so years, however many years, right? Like, because there's enough talent in the NBA to have 4 expansion teams. Like, there's enough talent out there for that, right? You'll see the averages dip back down to 105, 106, 107, 110, right? Like, there's just too much talent in the NBA. This isn't as much, in my opinion. The defense is bad. The offense is that good, right? I was listening to JJ Redick's podcast, and he was talking to, I forget who it was. It was like, maybe Desmond Bain, or maybe it was Fred VanVleet. It was Fred VanVleet, and he made the case that I have to cough on a sec. I'm dying here. I didn't want to cough into the mic. JJ Redick's rookie year, the best offense in the league that year would have been something like, I don't know, 18th this year or last this year. The best defense that year would have been 8th in the league or the worst defense in the league that year would have been 8th. Then from Fred VanVleet's rookie year, the same thing. Excuse me. Best offense would only be the Golden State offense. Fred VanVleet's rookie season, the 2016-17, like the ridiculously good Golden State Warriors, they'd be 11th in the NBA in offense this year. And the worst defense that year, the post Kobe Bryant Lakers with like Nick Young and the fellas balling out in LA, that defense would be like 8th, like the 8th best in the league, right? So you can sit here and say, oh, defenses have gotten that bad. If you think the 9th best defense in the league this year is worse than that Lakers team on defense, I'm sorry. Like, you're just
that's
crazy.
not what I'm saying.
I'm not coming at you. I'm more ranting about the entire, like, this whole old head mentality. They don't play defense anymore.
My point is a lot of fouls. A lot of fouls. A lot of guys falling all over the place. A lot of threes.
I don't think
those
your
two things
fouls
alone, and the
doesn't
pace.
track.
The pace is like about average, a little bit above. But the threes and the fouls on jumpers and extra fouls that you can't play defense with your hands, things like that, which is not necessarily a new thing, the hand thing, allows for more scoring.
They're shooting less fouls now than they did in the late 2010s. Less free throws.
A lot of fouls on jump shots.
I understand that, and I told you I agree with you on the jump shot thing. I think it's ridiculous that a shooter can jump over the 3-point line and get a foul call when the defender goes straight up. That shouldn't be a thing. But
the free throws doesn't necessarily correlate just because the defense can't defend the same way.
Well, then I don't think you can use the free throws to then make the argument, oh, their scoring isn't as impactful then, because it's not like they're shooting by the numbers any more or less free throws than guys were in previous years. Like, yeah, it's up since last year. Like, last year was at 22 or 21.9. This year it's at 23.7. But all you have to go back is what, 8 years to get an even number. And then if you go back even further to the quote unquote golden era, all these old heads are talking about, again, not you, just me ranting, like early 2000s, they're shooting 24 to 26 free throws a game, right? Like, sorry, like, you can complain about the way they're getting those free throws, sure, but the number's not going up.
That's my gripe.
Sure, and I agree with you in that pace. As far as what was the other one you were complaining about? Oh, the 3-point attempts. Yeah, 3-point attempts are up. Like, that's just because they played.
That's how it is.
Way.
That's how the game is.
That's how you got to do it. But like I'm saying, points are up this year because the offense is so good, in my opinion, not because the defense is so bad.
I think it's a little bit of both. And I think it's less on the defense itself. I think it's more on the rules.
I don't know. I disagree. I just think there's too much talent. And I'm telling you now, once they add these expansion teams, which they're going to add expansion teams, there's going to be Seattle and Vegas in a few years, scoring is going to go down. and you're going to hear a lot less complaining about, oh, defense stinks, right? Because everyone's going to see all the numbers going down and say, oh, defense is better again. No,
I
they
think it's
just
a more
added
fun
more
game
teams.
when there's better defense.
I agree to some degree, but if you're telling me you'd rather watch 70 to 80 playoff games, then you're just crazy.
I don't know.
Like,
I never watched those, but I feel like it was more fun to watch games. I don't know. It's tough to say because now you can really get some crazy comebacks because of the threes and how high powered those offenses are.
Mm-hmm.
But I also felt like a lot more games were close back in the day, or not back in the day, like 10 years ago. I felt like there's no way to really look at this. It's just what I remember. I feel like there were a lot more good games. You didn't see as many teams just like, I don't know. You're always.
I think there's plenty of good games this year. I mean, I think the reason good games are being overshadowed is because they're being overshadowed by stats. Like Luka's, look at Luka's 60 point, 21 rebound, 10 assist game, right? Everyone's going to remember it because of that. That was a crazy game. Like they came back, Luka hit the free throw at the end. They dominated in overtime. Like it was a good game. That was an overtime game. You look at Donovan Mitchell, 71 points. Only thing people are going to remember is that 71-point game. He threw the ball off the rim to tie the game in overtime.
That was crazy.
Right? Just the other night, the Raptors and the Knicks, right? RJ Barrett coming down the court, dunking.
We did a stream for that one.
You can pick any night of basketball, and because of how much talent there is in the league, there is going to be a close game, in my opinion, right? I think it's the opposite. I think a few years ago, you saw way too many blowouts, right? Like you talk about the era of the Golden State and the Cavs, like on any given night, you get the Cavs versus the Magic, and you could just have it done, right? Like nowadays, I'll look at last night. There was Pelicans Cavs. That was
OKC's beating teams. There's your example.
Yeah, OKC's beating teams. The Toronto Knicks game I was mentioning. You look back. And you can see the Nuggets and the Magic in a 3-point game because of Paolo Banchero, the Lakers and the Sixers. I mean, we mocked Russell Westbrook for the final possession, but that was objectively a good game, right? Because it was close and it came down to the wire. I'll push back on that point. I think you're getting more good games now than ever because of how much talent's in the league. And I disagree with the notion that I'll say that defense maybe isn't as good as like the peak. Like this isn't the peak of defense, obviously. But I think saying that like this is, defense is atrocious now. I just think that's a bit of a stretch, right? I just know I don't think I'm gonna fall.
I think the rules are atrocious. I stand by that.
Certain rules are atrocious. I don't think all of the I can understand
the take foul's fine.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, of course the take foul is fine because it helps basketball. But like, I understand the gripe with the 3-point shot thing.
In no other basketball game other than the NBA on the planet are guys falling down on jump shots. Nowhere else. Nowhere else it doesn't happen.
I understand the rule of you can't get in a player's landing space, but I don't like how it's affected the way the game is played in that regard, right?
In my opinion, that rule allows bad shots to be rewarded.
I think they've fixed it a little bit this year, at least, because they're calling. I think
they don't. You don't see as much of the jumping into guys, which is good.
They need to be more strict on it. I think because I think that is a good way to fix it because you shouldn't be able to get into a player's landing space. That is dangerous. Like just at its core, that is a dangerous thing. Like the Zaza thing, Zaza ruined it for everybody because he
won in the rat list because he ruined basketball.
He took it a step too far. But that is a dangerous move. Obviously, you shouldn't be able to get into a player's landing space. But the issue is now you're seeing like a player take a 3 and land inside the 3-point line, and a player defending.
I mean, Harden always did that.
I know. And a player defending from inside the 3-point line will maintain his ground, but he'll get called for a flagrant. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing. That is where I draw the line. Now, obviously, you're going to come forward on a jump shot. Like that's just how a jump shot works. You jump towards the rim, but there has to be a healthy medium because what do you expect a defender to do? Like what are they supposed to do? Just not defend the jump shot?
What you're talking about is a problem. And also, if the defender's already there, I'm sorry, he's entitled to his space.
Yes, I agree. You
can't go up for a jump shot and then land on him. I think you're kind of saying the same thing, but I mean, this is more of a sense. The guy's already playing good defense. You're just taking a bad shot, and you're getting rewarded because he's playing good defense.
I think you've seen that. And I think you've seen that less this year, in my opinion. I don't think you've seen that as much this year. I think that was a problem 1 or 2 years ago, and then they amended it with this whole, like, you can't jump into a player, because that one year where, like, Trae Young was just jumping into everybody.
Kemba would do it when he was on the Celtics.
That was hell. that was the worst. And I'm glad that era has, for the most part, ended. And you saw it. I saw it called the other night. I was watching the end of Wizards, I think Warriors. Kyle Kuzma jumped forward and he fell down, and they called a foul on Kuzma. It would have brought a tear to your eye if you had seen it. But yeah, I don't know. This all stemmed from us talking about Tatum's 51-point game in the MVP race, by the way, and we've been talking about this for 20 minutes. So there you go.
That means you're getting a long show today because Jack had plenty for us to do.
Yes, you are. Well, some of it was filler. Some of it was filler. We don't have to get it all. I think I talked about Cornette on the last episode, so we can skip over Cornette. He's just been good, and I like Cornette. I think Sam Hauser talk is probably the slightly more important, because I do want to talk about Sam Hauser, because he's been kind of bad. Sam, he's been pretty bad for recently. I'll open with this, and I'll use it. Per Chris Forsberg, I pulled it. It's Boston. Shout out Chris, old friend of the show. Said Hauser has been trying to pull himself out of a funk since the start of December. He was second on the team in plus minus behind only Tatum through Boston's first 21 games. Since those first 21 games, he is a team worst minus 65. Over the Celtics' last 23 games, which I think is just since then, he is a team worst of minus 65, and no one else is really close, according to him. So I'm going to go, check that out now. And I'll just go last 15 to take a look. But Sam Hauser, I did the stats, sorry, because I have the shooting splits. Over the first X amount of games, he's shooting around 48% from three through to the end of November, I believe it was. Since the end of November, Sam Hauser is shooting 28.8% from three, which is, if you know ball, not very good. And as far as those plus
only
minus,
a little worse than LeBron.
All right, leave LeBron. This is not a part of the conversation, but the plus minus over the last 15 games for Sam Hauser is a minus 43 over the Celtics' last 15 games. You want to know who's second to last on that? Justin Jackson with a minus 9. So we're talking minus 43 versus minus 9. Like, Sam Hauser has been bad, very, very bad.
I'll tell you what, Sam Hauser not picking the best time to be bad.
No.
For his sake, as the trade deadline grows closer and closer every day. Because he's not going to get traded. He's not. He's on too good of a contract. He showed the team that he can play and he can shoot.
Absolutely.
He's just in a slump. However, that doesn't mean Brad's not going to go get somebody and screw around with this season that they're having, because they are far too good to be screwing around with their roster and not getting the best possible result from this season. Yeah. So I don't know who that means. I don't think Duarte, maybe him, his 3-point percentage isn't off the charts either.
It is horrendous.
Is it?
What it is.
Oh.
Yes.
I was like, I thought I knew what I was talking about there. What the hell, Jack?
No. Chris Duarte is playing absolutely terribly this season. The only reason I think he should be considered is because he's been injured a lot this year. I was listening to Keith and Trevor talk about it in the front office pod. He's been injured this season. He hasn't been able to consistently get minutes because of the rotation. And I would think, weirdly enough, I think he would probably get, more consistent minutes on the Celtics and the Pacers. Because, like, you think about the wing depth the Pacers have. They have Nesmith, they have Heel, they have Mathurin, they have Andrew Nembhard plays minutes for them there too. Like, they have a lot of guys at the wing to get time. For the Celtics, it's really Tatum, Brown, Hauser, right? Like, that's their wing core sort of. And they have guys who play up and down, but there would be a niche for Duarte to fill. He's shooting 33.1% from the field this season, 29.2% from three. So not a very efficient season from him. Nope. Only played in 24 of their games too, but I do think that's a solid option, and he's cheap. And
like, who else is out there possible that actually fits?
I wrote an article for for Celtics blog that'll probably come out around tomorrow, the next couple days, about this exact topic, Sam Hauser slump and what it could mean. And I came up with some potential options that fit into the Celtics TPE. Before that, though, it's important to mention, I know you don't care about tax, and I mean, it's not my money. I shouldn't care about it either, but it is important to note that if the Celtics do make a move, and I had this explained to me by Keith, they will be paying roughly, Keith Smith, by the way, Cap legend, friend of the show,
Friend of the show.
They will
Multi-time
be
guest.
paying. Yes, good friend of the show. They will be paying around 5 times what the contract is. So let's say Cam Reddish. Let's say they trade for Cam Reddish. If you include taxes, he's like a roughly $6 million contract. They'll be paying around $30 million for Cam Reddish. So like, if you put it in that perspective, it's a little bit more. Okay, maybe they should be hesitant to make a move because like, but again, if you're a fan,
If you're
you shouldn't
asking
be worried
me,
about.
don't care.
Exactly. You shouldn't
Don't
be worried
care.
about what's
Wick
money,
said
but
forever ago he'd pay for a championship team. Here we are.
exactly.
Hey.
So options. These 3 options or these X amount of options are important because the Juancho Hernan-Gomez TP, the 6.9 million one, expires on January 19th. So the day after you're listening to this, they will not have the $6.9 million one. Now
they're not using it.
I know there are only a few players that fall under the category of would fit into that one and not the other one. And at the same time, the Celtics could probably make up the salary if they traded Pritchard in 2 minimum contracts anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But if the Celtics wanted to use that Juancho TPE, which right now it doesn't look like they will, these players fit into that and not the other one. Cody Martin of the Hornets, who I think would be very interesting if they're ditching contracts, but he's on a pretty solid longer term deal. So excuse me, I doubt that happens. He makes $7 million, but you can go up 100,000 over what your TPE is, so he would technically fit. So Cody Martin, Justin Holiday, who has looked all right for the Hawks this year, and they have a decent amount of wings on that roster. AJ Griffin, a guy we were talking about the other day, he's been good. Justin Holiday, by the way, this season.
I'm sure Atlanta's ready to ship him off.
Who is this?
AJ Griffin. I'm sure they just really want to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm talking about Justin Holiday is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I said AJ Griffin's been playing well, so maybe they'll trade Justin Holiday because they don't need him anymore.
Okay.
Yes. Justin Holiday just played 15 minutes a game for the Hawks this year, shooting 37.7% from the field and 34% from 3. So not great, but he is an option. He's a veteran guy. He could alleviate some of the pressure off of Sam Hauser. On top of that, Rui Hachimura, a guy I know our friend Birkin in the chat loves. Probably not as likely either because of how young he is. He'll need
There's
a
reason
extension.
he's in all these talks too.
Very true. Well, they also could just be more out of them because they have Denny Avdia. And then Rudy Gay on the Utah Jazz, who has not been great this year, but is just another body.
Very bad, Rudy Gay.
I wrote mainly about wings, but if we're talking non-wings, Jackson Hayes and Kem Birch are 2 names if you want a big, which I don't necessarily think the Celtics should be targeting bigs, but Hayes and Birch would both fit under that. But players who don't who fit under the smaller TPE as well, I think this is where you're looking at names the Celtics could actually potentially get. You have the club of their team might not want to extend them. Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, and then PJ Washington, even though I think the Hornets will probably end up extending PJ Washington in the summer. So like if they're looking to get value back for somebody, they're not going to bring back into the team. Reddish and Thybulle seem like guys that could potentially fit for the Celtics. Even though like if you're trying to replace Hauser shooting with somebody else who can shoot, Thybulle and Reddish are probably not the guys you're looking at. But those are options. Other players, Chris Duarte, like you said, could be there. Sadiq Bey is a name that's been thrown around, and I know we had a chat with Keith.
We talked about with Keith. Yeah,
we did. Well, we talked about when Hauser was shooting well. Now that Hauser's not shooting well, maybe it makes a little more sense because you have another body. The one I might be most interested in is Torrey Craig. Excuse me.
Yeah, I've seen him thrown around.
Having a career year with the Phoenix Suns, and with Jay Crowder not playing, it seems unlikely they'd trade him. He's averaging 8.5 points, 5.6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, shooting 47.3 from the field, 39.7 from 3. And he's taken 3.5 threes a game. It seems unlikely they'd trade him. However, if their season keeps going downhill, I believe he's on a minimum contract. I don't want to have egg on my face, though, so I'm going to double check my memory. I'm into 1-year contract. Yep, his contract is up at the end of the year. So, excuse me, if they want to just get value back in return for Torrey Craig and Cam Johnson is coming back some point soon, maybe they would be willing to part ways with him for, I don't know, a couple seconds, a first round pick. Or let's say they trade Jay Crowder for another power forward and they need to match salary. Celtics could get involved as a third team, get Torrey Craig. If I had throw in a second and absorb Craig into TB is what I'm saying, as that third team. If I had to pick a guy who I'm like, okay, if I could have anybody around the league that makes sense and fits into TP, I'd probably pick Torrey Craig as a 1-year rental because he's been pretty good for the Suns this year.
Yeah, that Phoenix team, I'm not convinced they're bouncing back. Seems like they get a lot of problems over there.
Yeah.
I mean, Booker's hurt. Ayton doesn't want to be there. Chris Paul's not getting any younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got injuries. I don't know. I don't know if they move Craig. It kind of sucks. I feel like Crowder would be an interesting guy if he fit the money, but he doesn't.
No, you'd have to trade Gallinari.
Yeah, which
that's
would
another
be a very
thing.
bad look.
I was gonna say we can talk about this too. I don't think you should trade Gallinari because
We've talked about this many a time. Or at least I've
realistically
written about it.
speaking, if you're looking for somebody who could give you what Hauser's giving you, it's Gallinari,
No, it's
right?
him.
Like he'll be playing well next year, and the reason they signed him is to kind of do what Hauser has been doing this year when he's been good at least. So I think it'll be interesting to see him play in a Celtics uniform next year. I think he'd be a good fit for this team. Unfortunate that he got hurt, but I don't think the Celtics will trade
He's on
him.
2 feet again. He's getting there.
Yeah, he's making quicker progress than I thought. I'm
He,
hyped with the way he's charging ahead.
He would be a tough one to trade. He seems like he wanted to be here, and he was a good story coming into the season. So you have a guy that signs here, is excited to be here. You can't really trade him if he gets hurt. Like you could trade him if he was playing bad, but if he gets hurt, he really can't control that. That's not really fair to him. And you've already got like labels around the organization that they don't treat players right with Isaiah Thomas. I mean, you've heard Anthony Davis's dad talk about it and complain, but
yeah,
there is truth to it. Like, it's not a good look when Isaiah ends up like being more hurt than he was told, and then his career goes away because of it. Pretty much, like you can't just trade Gallinari because he hurt himself, really, unless you're getting like a crazy deal. Maybe you can. I don't know. I don't think you would get very good press on it. That's what
I don't think so either.
Say.
I think the only acceptable way for it to work is if like you get a crazy deal, like you said, like you can't pass it up, you have to do it, or something along the lines of like the Ricky Rubio situation. You know how the Cavs traded Ricky Rubio last year, then he just signed back in the summer. Like if you convince
That's the
him,
dream.
Yeah, if you
I'm
convince
surprised
them,
more players don't do that. Like if I was, oh man, I gotta. Like, let's say that's a bad example because
I'm saying Gallinari could do that though. Like if you trade him to another team and Gallinari says, you know, okay, I'm not coming back next. Does he have a player option or a team option?
I believe he has a player.
Well, if he says like, okay, yeah, I'll decline at the end of the year, and Boston says, yeah, we'll have. Oh, he doesn't have any option. It's just 2 years flat. So never mind. Maybe it's not possible. But like, if he gets bought out or something, and you know, he goes back, it's something along the lines of he'll find his way back to Boston. But even so, I just don't think trading him is realistic for the Celtics.
If I was a nasty NBA player, like say, I'm trying to think. Let me take a minute.
Yeah. What's the scenario? I can help you think of an example.
Like there's one good player on the team.
Okay.
That's it.
Like the Thunder, Shea.
Yeah. Say like Shea's contract was up at the end of the year. I would say, hey, listen, I'm nasty. Trade me, get stuff back, and then I'll come back. I'm surprised. No, like it's funny, but I'm surprised more players don't do that.
I know what you're saying. Like that's what they should have done with Beal last year.
That's perfect. That is the perfect scenario. Beal should have said, trade me. I'll go wherever, get whatever is best. I'll go live there for however many months.
That's what Harden should have done to the Nets. He should have said, all right, see ya. Or no, that's what Harden should have done with the Rockets. He should have said, trade me. I'm going to dip out of here. You get what you can for me. I'm going to go.
You go compete a little bit, and then when it's ready, I'll be back. I mean, LeBron kind of did that when he left Cleveland, then came back when everything was ready to go again. But in a shorter term, Beal would have been the cash money, trade me. I'm sure he would have got something from somebody.
Something good.
Back.
Couple good pieces. I mean, the only issue with that is the tampering that happens. Like the team that is trading for Beal is absolutely in contact with Beal saying, hey, you're going to come long term. And, you know, sometimes there's the trying to think of an example, like the Timberwolves when they traded, shitting on the Timberwolves trades. Not even talking about Gobert, when they traded for Butler, right? Like they didn't really have that long-term guarantee. Yeah, because and then they ended up trading him. They traded Butler, by the way, for like,
you see players leave after being traded places. Like right
I understand.
Away.
Like no, I'm sorry, not the Timberwolves. I picked on them unnecessarily. Like the Sixers. What the Sixers did, they traded for Butler. In fairness to them, they got him for like not a lot, which was something for them. He left. The Timberwolves went to the Sixers. Like, if he wanted to go back to Minnesota, he would have had a better team around him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Philly just didn't have that long-term guarantee. But I think a lot of teams around the league are obviously like in discussions with these players. Like, we'll have you long-term, right? Like, we're not just trading for rental, especially when it's the star players. Because unless you're the Nets and going full bozo mode and just following KD and Kyrie with Harden, you got to have that long-term guarantee. And I mean, in their defense, Harden probably gave them the long-term guarantee. Then was said,
I mean, you want to talk about power to the players. I can't believe no one has done that.
Yeah, that'd be fire.
I mean,
That'd be
they
interesting.
love saying it's the Players League and all that. I can't believe that hasn't been done yet.
That would be fire.
That
That'd be
is the next like KD thing that happens. Like
would
when
you
KD,
respect it or would you hate it?
I would respect it. I would respect the hell out of that, unless like they did it to the Celtics.
So what you're saying is you want Jaylen to leave for half a year, them get assets, and then also
No.
the issue with that is you'd
No,
have to have
no.
enough cap space to sign the player back. Like that's the other problem in it. Like you'd have to have enough cap space where you'd be able to absorb.
Well,
the
this
player
isn't.
again.
That's why the Jaylen one also doesn't work. Like in theory, the Celtics will be good when Jaylen's contract is coming to an end.
Sure, the Thunder is a good example. Say the Thunder trade Shea.
The Beal one is the most perfect one you could have gave. Beal,
yeah.
his contract's up last year. Team's ass. Trade him, get something back, and then he comes right back. If you know that's what you want, find some rat team. I don't know, the Lakers that'll definitely like give you their farm for him, and then just have him leave.
I'm trying to think where Beal could have gone last year. That would have made sense. I mean,
last season the Lakers would have traded for him.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have gotten enough back from the Lakers, in my opinion.
Let's see other teams trying to get over the hump last year.
Minnesota, maybe instead of Gobert, they could have given you the farm.
Imagine that would be so bad. That would be so bad. Like Gobert's bad enough, but like, oh boy.
Well, I mean, we could have the discussion. Sam, would you rather have Gobert or nothing?
Nothing. I'd rather have the cap space.
Yeah, that's just rude. Well, that's the thing, though. I don't think if Beal had left for the Washington, they got all those assets. I don't think he would have been able to re-sign. Like, I don't think they would have had the space.
But I don't know what the cap was last year.
Anyways,
wrong guy.
It's a funny.
That is going to be the next thing that like someone does, like when KD went to the Warriors. That like people are like they would never do that. It's going to happen someday, and one franchise is going to be real pissed.
It's going to be a fun concept at the very least. It's a good.
I can't believe it hasn't been done.
Mm-hmm.
It would be perfect for like another like situation I thought of. I think the original time I thought of it was like when Paul Pierce, like when the Celtics were bad before they got the big three, and like there was talk of him getting traded or signing somewhere else or whatever. Yeah. Like they should have, if they didn't have that lined up, traded him and then just re-signed him. Brought him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart. It's funny. I think that's about it. I had this weird big man debate, which we can talk about it quickly. I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter, and let me find out.
We didn't get to do a lot of fun stuff today. It was me saying dumb things and being proven wrong.
Excuse me. Let me try to find it. It was something along the lines of, I guess I'll find it on my phone because I have like a draft save, so I can just look at my draft. It was rank these 8 or so centers. It was Harrison Grimm on Twitter, to give credit. Excuse me. Asking, rank these centers, and the centers were, I'm sure to go to his tweet so I can fully credit him. Sorry. Harrison Grimm, who writes for Liberty Ballers of SB Nation, Sixers SB Nation site. He tweeted out, rank these centers. Bam Adebayo, Domantas Sabonis, Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Jared Allen, Robert Williams. So it's an interesting list. I'll type it in this little private chat for you, Sam, so you can actually see it in front of your face. Yeah. Bam. Say it again for the people listening. Bam, Sabonis, Gobert, Embiid, Jokic, Jared Allen, and Rob Williams, which is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 centers. Now, I didn't necessarily come to a conclusive ranking. I kind of put them in tiers. And the real contentious one is Gobert, because like I do think Gobert is a better player than he is playing in Minnesota this season. I just don't think that's like a good fit for him. Obviously,
he's the worst of the group.
See, I have him in the group with Allen and Robert Williams in that lower tier. I think I'd probably end up putting him there just based off the season alone. But if you're basing it off of like how they can be when they're at their best, I'd probably put him at the top of it, if that makes sense. But
for me, it goes. I'll do tiers too because I think that's the way this is really set up.
Yeah,
Jokic, Embiid, same one. Bam, Sabonis, same one. Then maybe Rob, Jared Allen on one. Then Gobert.
See, I lumped Gobert in with him because I don't think it's completely fair to base off how good he is. Well, I just don't think it's fair to base how good he is on this season alone. If you're doing
I don't think he was ever good.
I know you don't, but we're not talking about that. That's not the conversation we're talking about. But off this season alone, I can understand that argument. But if I had to put them in like, excuse me, a concrete order based on this season, I'd probably go Jokic, Embiid, Sabonis, Bam, Jared Allen, Robert Williams, Rudy Gobert. I think that's my list for this season.
That's fair, just because Rob hasn't played. Because when Rob's played, he's been real good.
He has been, but the Cavs defense has been phenomenal this year. Jared Allen's been good for them. He's just not
Celtics are
getting the
coming
same
for
touches.
him.
I agree with you. But if I had to go on a list based on the season, excuse me, that's probably where I'd
goes Jokic, Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings are better, so Sabonis. Then Bam, who's been really good, probably having the best season of his career.
Playing great.
Yeah, then Allen, Rob Williams, and Gobert. It's just tough because Rob's been hurt.
Those tiers, I think, are pretty concrete, but the actual ranking can be tough. But I think that's all I had for today. We can do a couple of trivia cards, though, if you want.
Yeah, you need to bounce back after yesterday.
All right. I had a rough one the other day, but for those who don't know, any new listeners, any new watchers on YouTube, we do Who's the Man trivia cards. My uncle gifted them to me for Christmas. They are basically any Celtics player who ever played. You'll get 5 clues. If you get it on the first clue, 5 points. Second clue, 4 points. Yada 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 down the line until you get 0, which is usually what I get when it is player born before the 90s. So. And for the tally, Sam is at 100 points even right now. I'm at 63. That should tell you who's better. And Tim, who's only played a few times, is at 17. So that's not exactly fair, but he's a pregame friend.
Points per card. Jesus. Points per card. You were Tim.
Absolutely you. Oh, me or Tim? Tim. Definitely Tim.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So first one of the day. Let me take off private chat so I don't see your answers. Drafted by Seattle in 1997, but didn't make his NBA debut until 2000 when he signed with the Celtics. Interesting. Drafted by Seattle, didn't make his
I'm
NBA
up the creek
debut
on that one.
Until 2000 when he signed with the Celtics. I don't know. I'm going to go to the next one.
I don't know.
You good?
One.
Played 338 games for the Celtics, starting 212 of them between 2000 and 2006. I'm not going to get it. I'm not very familiar with this era, so.
I have a guess. I have a few guesses.
Are you gonna throw it in, or you
go?
All right, 3 points. Scored a career high 29 points while also grabbing 10 rebounds in a Celtics loss to the Mavericks on March 19th, 2004. I got nothing.
No idea.
All right, 2 points. 7-footer who signed with the Nuggets in free agency in August 2002, only to be traded back to the Celtics 6 months later. I feel like that should give it away, but I just don't know.
I'll guess in the chat.
All right, I'll go to 1 point while you guess. Led the Celtics with 76 blocked shots in 2000-2001. The first rookie to lead the Celtics in blocks since Kevin McHale 20 years earlier. I don't know. Sam, what you guess?
Is Tony Battie.
It is Mark Blunt or Mark Blunt.
Very good.
Wasn't going to get it. So 0 points all around. A dud first card of the day. We'll do another one, though. Second card of the day as I raise it up for no reason. Selected in the second round of the 1989 draft by the Miami Heat. Oof. 89 draft Miami Heat. He played in the 90s.
I don't know anything that one yet.
All right. Joined the Celtics on January 10th, 1992 in the trade that sent Brian Shaw to Miami. Oh, I wrote an article about trades between the Celtics and the Heat, but I can't remember. Do you know it?
No.
Are you going to guess? Or
no.
Next one?
I'm going to wait.
Okay. Played 30 career games against Michael Jordan in his career and lost all 30.
Really?
That's a phenomenal stat, but I still don't know it.
I don't know that.
All right. Set the NCAA career assist record in 1989 while playing for Syracuse. What the hell?
I'm going to do a guess, but I don't think it's right.
All right. Hit the guess. 1 point for me. Point guard named the General. Well, I should definitely know that, but I don't. Answer, Sherman Douglas.
I guessed it.
What? How
that
did
was my guess at when they
points.
Traded Shaw, but I wasn't positive.
2 points, so you got it. Did you know he played for Syracuse? Is that why you got it?
No, that was my guess, and I was like, I'm not going to get anything else from this, so I might as well get my points if I'm going to get them.
Brutal.
Sherman Douglas, the answer to one of our upcoming trivia questions.
Really? I'll have to take a look at those. I want to contribute there as well. Should we do last one, 3 for the day?
We'll do 5 because we've had 2 duds.
We'll do 5. Won a pair of NCAA basketball titles and has his jersey number 4 retired for the University of San Francisco Dons. Is this USF? That's
there's one name that comes to mind.
Yeah, but number 4 at USF? That's what's confusing me.
Yeah,
Should I
go
go to the
on.
next?
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna look like idiots if this is who we're thinking of, but we
Yeah.
don't get it at 5. But we'll go to number 4. Excuse me. Won a gold as a member of the USA basketball team at the 1956 Olympics in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go for it.
Should we? I mean,
Yeah,
we
Bill
both
Russell.
know. Bill Russell. Oh no.
Oh, we were wrong?
Oh no, we were wrong. We're fools.
Is it one we should have known?
Casey Jones.
Oh, that's bad.
I
forgot they were teammates.
I did too. I don't know. I'm going to read the 3 through 1 just to see if we should have gotten it or would have. 96 to 98 served as head coach of the New England Blizzard of the Women's American Basketball League.
No, would never get that one.
Reached the finals 8 times while playing for the Celtics and earned a championship ring each time.
That could have been a million guys.
Coached the Celtics to the NBA title in 84 and 86.
That one I would have got.
Okay. Brutal. I saw USF and my head didn't even go anywhere else. So, all right. 4th one of the day.
It's been a bad day.
It has been. Was the final player drafted by the Seattle Supersonics franchise before they moved to OKC? Ooh. I know Russ
Played for
was
the
that
Celtics.
Year. I know Russ was that year. So there was a player in the same draft as Russ drafted by the Thunder that played for the Celtics at some point. I don't know. Should I go to next?
I have a guess, but I'm not going to say it yet.
Okay, good. 4 points. Maybe give me a chance. Voted SEC Player of the Year in 2006. The same season he led LSU to the Final Four.
Yeesh.
LSU. I'm just thinking the main guys of Shaq and Ben Simmons.
See, now I have another guy, but that doesn't line up with the Seattle move.
Brutal. 3 points.
Yeah.
Made his first NBA start on December 12th, 2007, filling in for injured Celtic center Kendrick Perkins.
Okay, I know who it is.
No, are you gonna guess? I don't know. So
yeah, I know, and I knew it would. This doesn't make sense to me.
Throw in the private
because
chat.
Russ was drafted by the Sonics, right?
Yeah, I thought that was last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
The LSU one, I would have known it at if not for that.
Mm-hmm. Was traded from Boston to Orlando on December 12th, 2011. Traded from Boston to Orlando. Should I?
Yeah.
Traded from Boston.
You're gonna be really
to
upset
Orlando.
when you see who it is.
I know. I'm going to 1 point though. Known big. Oh, okay. Glenn Davis.
Yeah.
Sure. I didn't know he was drafted by Seattle.
Yeah, he was part of the Ray Allen trade. The thing that threw me off is I thought maybe him. And then it said LSU, and I knew he went to LSU, but I thought
he was
Russ
a part
was
of the
last
trade?
player to be drafted by them.
Well, he was in the first round. I assume Glenn was like the second round. You know what I'm saying? Like Russ was their last first round draft pick.
They traded for Ray Allen the year they drafted KD. Not Russ. Russ was the year after.
Okay. Oh, he was a part of the Ray Allen trade coming to Boston.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he was the second round pick the same year as Russ in the first round. No. Oh, Russ was drafted by the Thunder. Glenn Davis was Kevin Durant.
Hold on.
Which was that's so weird.
Now I'm looking this up because
that doesn't sound correct, right? Am I tripping?
I'm gonna share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
I am upset.
Oh, you know what I think happened? I understand what happened. So Russ was quote unquote drafted by the Sonics, right?
Yeah. There you go.
But they were the Thunder that year. He never played for the Sonics.
He never played for him, but he was drafted. That's where it threw us off. Not very fair.
I agree. Okay.
I have enough points, so I'm not going to take any extras, but I should get more points.
All right. How many did you get on that one?
3.
I got 0, right?
I should have got 4.
I did fail.
No, you got 1.
Last one of the day. I did not. Oh, I did. I did get 1. Thank you. Thank you for giving me my scraps. Last card of the day. 5 points, scored 4 points and grabbed 3 rebounds in his NBA debut on October 26th, 2019. I have a guess.
4 points, 3 rebounds.
I have a guess. If you're not going to guess now, I'll guess now because I need the points.
Give me a minute.
Okay. I have my guess. I'm good to. I think I have my guess. Wait.
I know. I'm locking it in. I know who it is.
Okay.
Too.
Who is it? I'll say. I'm saying Rob. Tice? Oh, we're both stupid. I guessed Rob. You guessed Tice. It's Taco Fall.
Oh, that's
It was
lame.
Taco Fall. That is lame. Average. Okay, we would have gotten it on 4 points too. We should be mad. Average 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks over 115 games at the University of Central Florida.
Yep. Oh, that's bad.
Impatience from us. Impatience, but tough day of cards. We definitely should have had the Taco one, but we saw 2019 and figured, oh, we should guess this, but I guess we need a little bit more information. Anyways,
I know.
I think that about cuts it for the day. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah. If you are going to a Celtics game or any other event and you're going to use SeatGeek, you should do it and use promo code LaFrance to save $20 on your first purchase. We should put this at the beginning, by the way. Edit it in.
Okay.
But yes, do that.
You're gonna hear this at the end of the podcast too, but you're gonna hear this edited in at the beginning as well. So you're gonna hear a funny cut, and those who listen to it at the end will now understand. For viewer retention purposes, if you're listening to the SeatGeek ad at the beginning and the end, you're a real
good.
Comment on the YouTube channel. Let us know that you heard them both. I know Landon will comment. So
I heard this damn ad twice. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, right. Comment. I heard this damn ad twice. Leave that as your comment. But yeah. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you very much. As always, my one plug is going to be subscribe to the YouTube channel. Sub to How About Them Celtics on Twitter.
251.
We'll appreciate it. We're climbing. I keep saying I need to get back on writing the shorts, but I've been so enveloped in other work that I've been
get busy.
not having the time. I do. I'm a busy guy. Anyways, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Like Jack said, or listening. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, leave a like, say, I can't believe I had to listen to this ad twice. We appreciate all the viewership, likes, comments. Always a lot of fun, especially with the streams. We will be back Thursday for pregame.
Pregame on Thursday before the Warriors game. Yes, sir.
Yes, that'll be the next
or
time
tomorrow as you're listening to this.
Yes, tomorrow. You can follow the pod at How About Them C's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can like us on Facebook at How About Them Celtics Podcast. You can follow Jack at Jackson1NBA. You can get his work from Celtics blog as well as Heavy, and you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA to see me complain. And that's really about it. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on.
Taco's